Now, Kenya has joined 15 other countries across the world that have successfully implemented mobile money interoperability. Now, this will enable users to seamlessly send money across networks. This move may be timely, but at what cost does it come to the consumer? And as I had promised earlier, we will be having this conversation here in the studio, and I'm joined by Japheth Ogutu from the Consumers Downtown Association, who will help us shed more light on this and more. Welcome to the show, Japheth.
Thank you very much.
All right, so now we are talking about the merge.
Yeah.
First of all, the merge that has recently been launched on Airtel, Safaricom, and M-Pesa.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Kenya being one of the, I think, let me just say, most Kenyans use a mobile app to send money to different places across the world. Across Kenya, we are talking about Kenya at this moment. So tell us, what impact does it have? What does this merge have to do with the Kenyan consumers?
Thank you very much. Let me begin by saying we have come a long way in the telecom industry in Kenya.
Yeah.
And that there has been a lot of discussion around this issue. Right from the days when Safaricom launched M-Pesa in 2007, March, when M-Pesa was launched in the country. And we actually have seen how they picked up very well. But again, we've also had other service providers, Airtel and Telecom Kenya, joining the flow. But again, there has also been discussion around market dominance on this issue of mobile transactions. Of course, one thing that has propelled the market leader, Safaricom in this case, is the issue of mobile money transactions.
Yeah.
And apart from the voice income stream, they've done very well on the mobile money market platforms.
Yeah.
But now let me say that of late, the three operators, that is Telkom, Airtel, and Safaricom, came together. They agreed on a common platform to seamlessly transfer money across network, which was not the case before.
Yes, I remember there was so much complications when it came to sending money across other networks.
True. And so this discussion did not just come from nowhere, but actually there was we must recall that Communications Authority of Kenya, with the regulator in the sector, actually contracted a consultant to undertake research on the sector to find out, the issue of dominance that has brought a lot of discussion. And one of the recommendations, or rather what we'll say is a culmination of that research, is the issue of interoperability. Even though there has been discussion on interoperability, and now that Kenya is joining the other countries in the world, coming 16th in the world on those countries that have transited to interoperability. Actually, in the East Africa, we become the second.
Okay.
After Tanzania. Tanzania launched theirs on September 2016. And so this discussion culminated out of the recommendations that were made also by the consultants. And a lot of stakeholders were engaged. They gave their views on this. But again, we must appreciate that consumers are the major beneficiary of this. Because one, the seamless transaction platform that we already have is now going to make it very easy to send money across networks, which was not possible before.
Yes.
Because you remember when you were sending money from Airtel to Safaricom customer, or rather in the vice versa, it was difficult. Actually, it was coming up as a code, or rather as an SMS, that you have to go to that particular agent, so that you can now play around with those codes to withdraw the money.
And at the same time, very costly.
It was very costly, and again, after 7 days, if you don't withdraw,
it's
it will
taken
go back. Actually,
to the sender.
It will be taken back to the sender.
Okay.
Yeah, it will expire.
Okay. So you talked about market dominance a lot. What does it have a paradigm shift in the telecommunication sector? What will be the evident?
Yes, well,
Will it be evident in?
one thing I must point out is that interoperability is a good thing for us. And we must appreciate that we are moving in the right direction. It's going to make the cost of transaction very convenient. It is also creating what we call a free enterprise, where consumers will be able to transact without many barriers. All those barriers that were initially present in the platform are being removed.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a round figure that will be charged across any transaction at that platform. But now where the operators will make their money is on the withdrawal charges. Now that again will also bring another stiff competition.
Yes.
Because now consumers will be looking at what you are charging in terms of withdrawals, you know, payments through pay bill, you know, those till numbers. What are you charging?
Yeah.
So
and talking about the rates, let's also talk about the standard rates. Will you have like standard rates that will be uniform across different networks?
of course, the information, a lot of this information has not been disclosed because it was the agreement just came out a few days.
Yeah.
But we expect the sector regulator to come up with a very clear round figure around the transaction, particularly on the transfer of funds across this network. That is where we are going to have a uniform rates, where when you're sending to Airtel, there is a uniform rate. When you're sending from Safaricom to Airtel or to Telecom Kenya, there is a uniform rate. But now, where the difference will come in is whether how much will that customer use to withdraw that amount. Yeah, so that is where there's going to be a difference. But again, one thing we must note is that now you will be able, consumers are able now to withdraw real money, hard cash, which was not actually the case in the present. So when I send you money from Airtel, rather to a Safaricom customer, they will withdraw hard cash, but not a code, so that can expire and go back. Yeah.
So it's a good thing for Kenyan consumers.
It's a good thing for Kenya.
Yeah, and do you think this will stimulate healthy competition?
Exactly, it will, because one, as I said, competition will be zeroed down to cost of convenience. I mean the transaction cost, what you're going to charge for transactions, and again it will also boil down to issues to do with the infrastructure. How spread are your agents, or rather your facilities down there, so that people can access them. Yeah, so that is where the competition will zero down. But the issue of dominance is slowly overtaken. Yeah. And we see it no longer going to be an issue.
And maybe lastly, as we end up, Kenya being a leading mobile penetration, do you think it's a great achievement, at the same time having mobile money interoperability?
Exactly, it is a big achievement. And you see, as we talk, over 25 million Kenyans, are already on the mobile transaction platform. And this means by introduction of interoperability, we expect to see more. Actually, the number will increase tremendously because a number of people will want to now explore the market. Consumers will have every opportunity to transact, do business, send money freely. And this is not only creating, it's not only a business of the telcos, but it's also expanding the market in a manner that it is bringing the aspect of financial inclusion, where even banks are going to benefit a lot from this, because there's going to be a lot of discussions around how can we transfer, how can we link up, because there are also those platforms that they would want to explore with the telecom industry, and we must also appreciate that it's very imperative to note that banking as a sector is slowly shifting from being analog, to digital. A lot of services have been digitalized in a manner that people don't have to queue to get these services, but you can still do them on your phone. So linking even bank accounts to mobile lines or mobile phones will also be another area that we expect to improve. Yeah.
So let's just say we expect more from...
More, but let us note that consumers are the major beneficiaries in this, because even as these service providers are going to compete, the cost of transaction is coming down. We expect it to come down. That is one immediate thing that we expect to see very soon, because the competition will be zeroed down on transaction cost. And they are the major beneficiary in this. And so they have to appreciate it. They have to now choose freely. The freedom of choice is with the consumers now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he says the freedom of choice is with the consumers. Right. Thank you so much for that. This is Japheth Ogutu talking to us about the seamless transactions across different networks.